So if you're currently going through a big plateau in your scoring, you just haven't shot any better in a long time, you're always in this cluster of scores, if anything you feel like it's going to go the other way, it's going to get worse. And this is the video for you, because I'm going to go through my experience and how I personally broke through my scoring plateau. I went a good few years of shooting the same scores over and over again. I could tee it up and predict that I was going to shoot a specific score, and I did, and it wasn't one that necessarily made me all that happy. So here's the keys that I went through that I know you're going to improve from too when you know about it. So the first key, I stayed extremely patient with what I was working on and didn't jump onto anything new. So one thing that I've been working a lot with, and this is something that's been happening very, very recently, is I've been working a lot with this training aid because it's great for my swing faults, Tour Striker Smart Ball. I will quite occasionally have too much side bend in a downswing, and that would cause me to have a little bit narrow of an exit. So the more on top I stayed myself, reducing that side bend, having this in between my arms, forced the wide exit, which then in turn forced me to stay more on top of myself, going through the shot, being a little bit taller, less here. So me doing this a lot and staying patient with it was one of the big keys in the technicality of my golf swing to break through the plateau. I didn't go and start to work on anything different because it wasn't working and really implementing as fast as I would have liked it. But that's the reality a lot of you face here. You will see something that won't work straight away, and then you'll go and jump onto something else. Or you would work on something and start to see it visually there in your golf swing, and then you think, okay, I've got it now, I'm gonna start working on something else. And then you look in your swing again after you've gone on a tangent, and then what you're originally working on has regressed. So being patient and disciplined to working on one, maybe two things maximum, I would always say one, is a key to keep everything consistent in working, getting forward, moving forward with your technique, because that's only one part of it. This was the only part of this for myself where this was technique based at all. So make sure you stay patient with what you're working on. So the second key I had, and that was all about how I was approaching my rounds of golf. So when I would go before, when I was going through my little plateau, is I would be trying to play the shot the hole called for. So if there's a dog leg to the left, I'd try and play a draw. If it was a dog leg to the right, I'd try and play a fade, let's say for tee shots, for example. If there was a flag on the right-hand side of the green, I'd try to cut it in. Flag left, I'd try to draw it. You get the picture. So I was trying to play all these different types of shots. Now, me being a professional golfer, I can do those shots, but there are shot types that I'm more comfortable with. There's a natural shot I have, and that's a fade shot. So if you can see here with these little clips of me hitting shots out in my course vlogs, I hit fade. So that's exactly what I did on my last course vlog, which I didn't necessarily feel like I played too well in, but I massively broke the plateau. And I have been for the past 6 months or so. And really from there, I just have made it less complicated. I've been, okay, even though if it's a dog leg to the right, I'm still gonna fade the golf ball. I'm gonna aim down the left, and I'm just gonna put a swing on it. If it fades, fine, it's still in the fairway. If it stays straight, then absolutely that's in a great position. If I pull it, now I've cut the corner. So I'm using my shot type to my advantage. As soon as you start to go against your shot type, that's when we start to make the big misses. I always used to play with a guy who he would hit this big swiping fade all the time. And he would all of a sudden go, I'm gonna massively draw this ball. I'm gonna massively draw it. And then he closes himself off, tries to hit that big draw. His ball just disappears off the planet and he makes a triple. So I know a lot of you will be the same there. It's because you've got to hit your shots. If you wanna hit more variety of shots, work on it on the driving range. Don't have that on the golf course. Play with what you got. We wanna shoot the lowest score in the end of the day. We shouldn't care on how we look shooting that score. Having that lower number on the scorecard matters more than trying to hit all these fancy little shots out there. Play to your strengths, not to what you think you should be doing. So that's not encouraging you not to work on your golf swing and just play this fault the whole time. If you hit a big slice, work on reducing the slice and make it a fade or a small fade. That should be your goal, not to then go and hit a draw and hit the opposite shot shape. So play your shape. So the third tip here is huge for every standard of golfer. Stop trying to make birdies. Stop trying to do it. So this is something that's huge in a system called Decade Golf by Scott Fawcett. One of his most brilliant things that I think he has in there is when he talks about birdies, and especially the difference between different standards of players and the amount of birdies they make in a round. From a 20 handicap to a scratch golfer, the difference in birdies is about 1 per round. Crazy, isn't it? Barely any difference between a 20 handicap and a scratch. That might be slightly off, but it's very close to it. Now, what does that tell us? It's all about bogey and double and even worse avoidance. That's really what it's about. So that's why playing your shots is absolutely what you want to do. You can predict that. You can keep the big scores off your scorecard. Of course, get your short game and your putting into a reasonable state so you're not making a fool of yourself around the greens. That's a given. But you want to go out there, instead of trying to chase birdies, you've got a reachable par 5. Going to think, I must make a birdie. That's what all the top players are doing. They're making birdies. Reachable par 4, short one, thinking, I've only got a wedge in my hand. I've got to make birdie. That's what Rory McIlroy would do. He would make a birdie here, wouldn't he? Probably wouldn't. The percentage is low. It's really low. So just go out there and just let it happen. If you've got a shot in here where, like, it's, let's say you're hitting a pitch and wedge, whatever yardage that might be for you. Let's say if it's a tucked flag, don't go straight at it. If you missed the green then, short side yourself, you're turning in a birdie opportunity, or at least an easy par, into a double. Just go on a little bit of a safer side. Don't be overly safe, but just put a nice aggressive swing on it and then take what you get. If you get in there and you hit it to, let's say, 15 foot, which is inside tour average for a wedge shot, put a good roll on it. Never know what might happen. Don't chase the scores. Play the sensible, smart shot. If that pans out the way it should do for the round and nothing, you make nothing, you've still shot your best score. And if you make stuff, God, you're having an absolute round, which is again on my last course vlog I did where I shot 67. You could see what was I talking about in that entire course vlog. I was not trying to make birdies. I was not trying to enforce absolutely anything. And managed to scrape a good front nine of 1 under par. And then found a little bit of something on the back nine, even though I wasn't trying to find something. I wasn't trying to make birdies, and I was 4 under par on the back nine. So that's where you just stay patient, stay in your game plan. That's the best thing you could possibly do. That's your goal. Stay as patient as you can. Don't deviate off it. Play your shot shape. Don't try and make those silly, attempts to make those birdies that you think the tour players are. But guess what? Most likely you're not a tour player if you're watching this. So go about, play just like that. Follow those 3 keys here. And even though I'm not affiliated with them in any sense, I urge a lot of you out there to have a good look at Decade Golf. It's helped me as a golfer hugely, and it's going to do the same for you as well. So break your scoring plateaus by doing what I did, and you'll be surprised. Golf is a little bit easier than we make it sometimes. So if you like this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction just like this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So break your scoring plateau, and you're going to be better.